Lofi Poli Sci. How we doing out there? Dr. P right here talking our famous question. What's going on in the world today? And no kitty talk today, but rather a discussion about censorship. Newsflash, lo-fi people out there. Spotify targeted and censored 5 Lofi Poli Sci creations. Lo-fi music I created. The following 5 were targeted by Spotify and removed from Spotify's existence. Pulling me back, pulling me in. From Lo-Fi Study Beats Volume 1 has been removed. Ready for Reality from Lo-Fi Study Beats Volume 1 has been removed. We See Each Other, Lo-Fi Study Beats Volume 3 has been removed. Sounds of the Forest, Lo-Fi Study Beats Volume 3 has been removed. And finally, Lakeside Breeze from Lo-Fi Study Beats Volume 3 has been removed. The last 3, We See Each Other, Sounds of the Forest, and Lakeside Breeze, are all from almost 2 years ago and have been on Spotify the entire time. And the Volume 1 study beats, those go all the way back to 2020. And in particular, Pulling Me Back, Pulling Me In, this was the second lo-fi study beat track I ever created, back in the height of the pandemic, where my situation, and many of yours, was not good. This song, they just washed it away. Spotify said sorry. Not sorry. Your voice and music is censored. Now, why? Why does this happen? What's Spotify got to say for themselves, you know? And firstly, let me just say that this is not a copyright issue. I created these mixes, and they are all still free use lo-fi, just as lo-fi is meant to be. But directly from the 5 emails that Spotify sent me, the frequently asked section of the email began, quote, "Why did this happen? Spotify for Creators supports the distribution of audio and video podcast. Content that appears to be exclusively or primarily music is automatically taken down." Okay. How do I get my music on Spotify? You'll need to work with a distributor to get music on Spotify. Here's a list of our preferred and recommended providers, which they don't list, it's a link. Why was my video removed? Videos with little or no audible talking can be removed by our automatic review process. What's next? If you think your episode doesn't violate our content policies, if you can request an appeal, we'll review your appeal and notify you of our decision. Please be advised that abuse of our process is restricted and may restrict your ability to submit appeal requests in the future. Spotify has a policy to terminate the accounts of repeat infringers in appropriate circumstances. Thank you for your cooperation, Spotify. P.S. F.U. Yeah. So now on YouTube, you could still listen to every single one of these songs, because I created them using free use lo-fi beats, cuts, mixes, loops, single shots, all free use material to create lo-fi music. It's just Spotify. Let's be real, Spotify's being an asshole and only allowing music that goes through a third-party agent so Spotify can charge them for music on the platform. Any artist who puts music on Spotify has to now go through this process and pay Spotify to do so. Now, this is a new policy as far as how it applies to podcasts. It didn't exist before, especially before Spotify bought the podcast distributor known as Anchor.fm, which is what I originally used to distribute Lofi Poli Sci podcast all around the world to thousands upon thousands of different podcast apps. I'd upload it to Anchor, and then they go and upload it for me to everywhere else, including Spotify, Apple, Google. The list goes on and on and on. And I've released 3 lo-fi study beat volumes for my students and us to listen to during exams weeks and whatnot, and they have never been taken down until now. So Spotify is going back and retroactively taking down old music that was previously in accordance with their policies and in accordance with Anchor's policies, but now they want their paper. Spotify wants their money. And this goes directly against the mentality of lo-fi. This is pay to play, or as I call it, corporate censorship. Now, what is censorship, government versus private, because this gets tossed around a lot. And to some degree, it's perspective. But generally, when we say censorship, we mean that government is controlling what you say or keeping you from saying what you want, meaning government is attacking free speech. Now, corporate censorship, it's the same thing. However, corporations have policies, terms of service that you have to follow to be a member of their community. So they do censorship behind a wall of policies. Thus, Spotify doesn't allow music uploads, not even in podcast. YouTube does, but that's a different story. But even if the music was uploaded before they purchased Anchor, it's not grandfathered in, apparently, ? Don't remember receiving that email. And now they're going retroactively and just taking things down. But why I argue that this is Spotify corporate censorship is really simple. It's because of what lo-fi is. Lo-fi music is voice. Lo-fi music is mood. Lo-fi music is language. You know, Lofi Poli Sci podcast almost always starts out with music. It's how first-time listeners are always first exposed to the show. And I take careful consideration about the music I create for intros and outros of the show. Because as a lo-fi podcast, language is so important. I speak through my lo-fi music, and you can feel me through it, through everything. And Lo-Fi Study Beats Volume 1, 2, and 3 are words spoken to my people, to my students, to my former students, to so many others. My lo-fi is about love, about heartbreak, about seclusion and being alone. You know, my lo-fi is about hope. It's about getting up and dusting yourself off. And my lo-fi is most specifically always about giving you a hand to help lift you up. Lofi Poli Sci, for me, it's my gift to all of you. And Lofi Poli Sci is our thing. And Spotify changing terms of service for things that they purchased and then retroactively pulling down lo-fi music content is corporate censorship. Because they're taking away our language and my words sent directly to you and erasing them from their platforms. They're erasing us. And we do not abide by such things. We are Lofi Poli Sci. Instagram and YouTube to write into the show, people. Love you, Lo-Fi. And this, just a snap of what's going on in the world today. I bring it down, like. Always remember that Lofi Poli Sci is more than just me. It's the we that we be. Pickering, signing off.